Welcome Facebook, welcome YouTube. Today we're going back. Okay, so I don't know if you've all seen the theme here. I've been developing the theme using social media and today's tools to bypass, really, it was my intention to bypass the buyer's agent fee on both sides, but that's essentially what we're doing. I've showed you how to do it on the selling side, and you can save thousands of dollars. Maybe you could even save the listing agent commission if you follow our course at winnerscheck.org. Well, today I'm about to put up the buyer's agent course, which is more limited, and we talk about 3 ways to save. First of all, the one that we've already talked about in the videos is why you can. The best value in real estate and buying right now are homes with solar panels in sunny areas like the South and the West, and even in places where expensive electricity, like in parts of New England. And those homes are being undervalued right now, and I show that in the course. But I also said, since you're doing the work, and this would apply to anybody who wants to do the work, because you can't really get the information you need and make a valuation about solar homes without talking to the listing agent, getting the disclosures, and doing the work. So if you're willing to do the work as a buyer's agent, and I've already got the videos up there, but they'll be in the course, how to use Zillow to find a listing agent, call them up, ask them questions, get friendly, and maybe you can save or get the home working with the listing agent by becoming... I'm not trying to say the listing agent will get you a discount, but if you get the information and you develop a good rapport and the listing agent sees that you're a solid buyer, that may help you get the house for a lower price. And if there's multiple competition, may help you get the house, period. But secondly, I show you, and I've talked about in these videos, how to bypass the buyer's agent completely by dealing with the listing agent, or if you don't want that whole 2 or 3% fee, which is 2 to 3% fee, you could simply just get a referral from the buyer's agent and split the fee. In this case, it's probably just easier to go right to someone like me or any other entrepreneurial broker. In the case with me, especially if it's California, we can put a lawyer on your team. You get a second opinion, and we can get you, say, half the buyer's agent fee, which can be 1% of the final cost of the home. So like $1 million home, we're talking $15,000 towards a lower price, towards new floors, towards closing costs, towards a cruise. Maybe we can work that out. But we have to disclose some of these things to the buyer's lender. So it's generally going to come out as a cost reduction or a reduction in the price of the home, but not always. But now we're going to actually, some people called me up and said, well, what about the tools? How are we going to do this? And yeah, it's a lot easier for me because I use the car forms, or I could use my own forms, and I shoot them over to the agent. I ask for electronic signature. I get it back. And now I'm the listing agent. I just have to work with you to make sure we get paid out of escrow, because if you're working with me, I'm not going to get paid after escrow. It's getting paid out of escrow. We're going to have to work something out. I always hear, and when I've referred these out to other states, they're like, oh, we don't do that here. And that may be true, but every time I've heard that objection, I found a way to get paid out of escrow, or the realtors in my office have referred them out. So you would be surprised if you're trying to if you're waiting until after escrow to get paid, how often it doesn't happen in a timely manner or doesn't happen to the full amount. It's just crazy. So don't do that. Just get paid at closing, get paid at escrow, whether you're working out with me or anybody else, or you're going straight to the listing agent. Make sure if you're seeking the buyer's agent fee or any other fee reductions, it comes out of escrow, not later. Not because then they're like, oh, it goes to my broker's got to look at it, and then I talk to the broker, oh, it's got to go to the national office, they've got to approve it, they're going to take out 7%, which was never discussed, or whatever, 15%, 20%. It's an absolute ridiculous runaround. So anyway, let's go right to I'm going to share, first let me pull it up. Okay, so now I'm going to show a tool. This is the tool. Now you can do this with there's even ways to do electronic signatures with Zillow, which I haven't used, or Adobe Acrobat, or the realtor tools, which you don't have access to, which is why I brought this up. Just so happens that I absolutely love this real estate tool. It allows me to not need a transaction coordinator because it's so good. I've got all the forms I put together. Once I just load them in there, I pick out, you'll see what I'm talking about. So right now I've named the listing agent me, broker's agent, me. And we can add a person, we can add escrow, we can add title, whoever needs to review these documents. We add the buyer, the seller. They put them all in there and they just sign. I designate what they have to sign, and they don't have to sign in sequential order. And then we have to redo the whole transaction again because it's a pain in the neck to get the signatures in. That's the beauty. This is like it's a table, and people can come to the table and sign. And if they don't, I can remind them. It's just a beautiful piece of software. Now, in this case, just for demonstration purposes today, I've brought up the referral agreement. Now, most likely you're going to handwrite this in ahead of time. All these fields can be filled out ahead of time, so it's going to look a lot cleaner. But I didn't do that for demonstration purposes. It's uglier, but it can be cleaner. So here's an idea of what went on. I blocked this out to make it useful for the potential buyer. Instead of this would be prepared by me or a listing broker. This is a and this is what I have in the course, especially for lists for sellers and using non-car forms. There are forms in California that look pretty good to me. I wouldn't guarantee, as a lawyer, I'm not guaranteeing the car forms anyway. People sometimes get sued using those forms. So I'm not saying these forms are going to prevent lawsuits. I'm just saying these forms make a logical sense to me. I talk about in the course where you can get them, and in general, the core ones in a transaction we will discuss. Not as important for a buyer unless you're buying from a FSBO, but that's why it's there, because it could come up. That's why I'm talking about it. And then I crossed this out because this had rules about which brokers were involved, and I wanted to change this up. This is an agreement between listing, and we can type in agent. See, I just typed this in, listing, broker. Let's go broker. And potential buyer, which is up you, listed above. I'll say described above or listed. Now we'll just say potential buyer. Listing agent agrees to credit the buyer's agent's commission to a licensed real estate broker to be named within 48 hours of opening escrow. It is contemplated that most of this fee will be used to reduce the price of the home or closing costs on buyer's behalf for buyer. Yeah, for buyer. Okay, now the date. So if I'm the buyer, I'm just going to assign. I'm pretending I'm the buyer, so I just put it in there, and then I can pick the date, right? I'm going to pick April 2nd. Now, since it said 2019, I didn't finish that, and this isn't even important, but I'm going to assign it to myself, and I'll type in, let's say, this. I don't even see why this is in contract still, but just pick Carlsbad. Wherever you're buying the house, right? Or wherever you live. If you're in California. If not, you're gonna have to use other forms. We can talk about that in live training. Because I live in California, I could send this out all over this America, although I'd have more detailed forms so that they made sure I was getting paid out of escrow. Now, here's the to be referring brokers to be identified by buyer at a later time. See, this gives you maximum flexibility. I could set this up so that my name's there, and you would send it out, and I would just have to keep track of you, and I would have to charge you enough that it made sense that you didn't try to negotiate with them to bypass me, right? But instead, I've set this course up so it's going to be a small fee. I'm not going to have to get involved, so you don't have to put me in there. You can name any buyer's broker in the end. Now, I'm thinking, because I'm also a lawyer and I can help you, you'll eventually come back to me and say, I'd like you to review this transaction. But if you don't, you can work it out with any broker. And let's say the broker says, yeah, I'm willing to take a small fee. In exchange, you will get, let's say you're getting 1% of the home. Let's say, no, actually, that'd be low. So the referring real estate broker might get, say, 3%. So you're buying an $800,000 home, which is pretty conservative for California. And 3% of that would be $24,000. And you could talk to a broker and say, well, I'm willing to pay you a couple grand or $4,000 or whatever it is. Will you review the transaction with me and help me close this thing? I think most brokers who work for themselves, not if they're a brokerage and they got to pay commissions and all that stuff to everybody, but most experienced brokers, and I'd work with an experienced one, would work that deal out for you. So this gives you maximum flexibility. You don't have to use me. Some listing agents may cause issues. You may have to agree, instead of saying 100%, You may change this. Like, let's say the listing agent wanted some money for his efforts of showing you the home. So I might say 90%. I mean, it's what you negotiate. We talk about the scripts in my course. We'll talk about in live training, really, mostly. And you're going to work that out. Call them up, say, I'd like to see the home. If they're not having an open house, you say, great. If I'm interested, I want to make sure you understand that I'm working with a series of potential agents that will represent me. I want to keep maximum flexibility. You understand that I'm going to name that buyer's agent within 48 hours of closing. Have a nice conversation. We're already going to talk the other scripts, especially if you're dealing, well, with solar, you're going to be wanting to work with me. So I'm not going to do that with respect to solar. But, so now you go here. Now, there's the important thing. To be paid simultaneously with the close of escrow, out of escrow, not after escrow. You have to be very, very careful. You don't want the agent saying, I'll pay you later, because all of a sudden they could say that's a RESPA violation. I don't want to be paid later either. I've always found ways to made sure, even when we're referring to other states where they say we don't do that here, I'm saying we'll figure out a way to do that, won't we? Because if the agent's supposed to get paid out of escrow, I should be able to get paid out of escrow. It's the way I look at it. Seriously, you should be able to get your costs reduced during escrow. That's really the point here. You can read through the rest of these things. You might want to even cross this out or keep it. And I'm not saying how to do this. I'm saying this is what you probably fill all this out ahead of time, except maybe the 3%, because you don't really know what the compensation is. Normally on the MLS, it might be 2 to 3%. Now, here's where I sign a field to sign here. So that would be me. I go boom. I'd sign now. Adopt and sign. And I think I've already done this when I filled it out, but listing agent goes there. I spelled listing agent wrong over here. It doesn't matter. I would change. Okay, so I guess, no, I don't want to go back and change the people. I do that. Let's save. I didn't even write. Oh, I typed, no, what, listing. Okay, so listing. Yeah, that's where so I got to edit this person. Edit. This is good to see, right? In case you make a mistake. Listing turns to listing. And I put the I over here instead. And I save. Then I go back to the referral fee agreement. And this would be listing broker. Boom. And this would be me. No. Well, let's do this first. This might be because this goes through the software, through the email nicely. We might just be running into an issue here. John sign here. Listing sign here. I'm going to delete this. Shift, delete, because this is just causing us problems right now. It's not necessary. It's probably causing me problems because I'm performing in front of everybody. Okay, John sign here. Sign now. And listing sign there. Okay, so this is pretty set up. It's pretty easy. If there's mistakes, it's beautiful to change. I'd save and share. I'd say I like this app. Submit. Add people. Listing agent. Listing broker. Share. I should have said attach as a PDF because people like to keep it, but yeah, and now it's actually with these email addresses, this is a free. There's 8 loops. So now we're done. So then that's going to go. I don't want to open up my email. That's going to go to the agent that you put in there, right? So you see how this works. You've got this form set up ahead of time. You're using this software, and you're shooting these forms out when you want to see a home. Now, if you go to winnerscheck.org, and the buyer's course will be in there, it's basically going to be live trainings as we go forward. I've already put in contracts, and I put in the contracts, I put in disclosures from a seller standpoint so you can be educated on it. and I'm now moving in my solar home expert course and putting it in to the buyers, because solar homes are undervalued by 5 to 10%. If you're saving $500 a month at current interest rates, that's the equivalent of like $100,000. So if you're seeing a home that has solar panels on it that are saving $500 a month in electricity, that home's undervalued to someone who understands money and the time value of it by like, you know, and paying normal mortgage rates for that money. That's like $100,000 savings. And I've got a series of videos on the net about it. I'm putting it in the course. You're going to want, I think inside that course, you're eventually going to want to work with an agent, but the information's in there. And that course is a bargain right now. So you want to go to winnerscheck.org. It's going to be buyers, sellers, and then sign up to talk to me directly on the front page. That's how we're rolling it. So let me just put this back up here. In case you want to see, winnerscheck.org. Earning the buyer agent fee was this training. It all goes into the buyer course. I look forward to seeing you on the inside. I think that might be the first or second time I've ever said that. I don't remember saying it anyway. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.